Mickey Loomis and the New Orleans Saints pulled off a highway robbery this offseason. The Saints front office literally hit the NFL with the freeze, give me all your money and your car keys when they made an incredible offseason move. And I'm going to tell you what that was here in just a second. But if you're excited for the NFL or football in general to be back, I need you to hit that thumbs up icon and like today's video. We all know that the world is a much happier place when football is going on. So if you're pumped up for football season to be back, just like I am, drop a like. So the New Orleans Saints got a massive steal in free agency this offseason by signing Trace Giroaurd. And what we've seen so far in the preseason has been stellar, and it's living up to the hype of what the former number 2 overall pick was. Now, welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Giroaurd. Got a fun show for you today. It's all about Trace Giroaurd because I think that the New Orleans Saints, like I said earlier, pulled off highway robbery. Now, this was a player last year who had 7.5 sacks, which would have been the second best for New Orleans last season, considering the fact that Carl Granderson was number 1 in sack production with 8.5. And on top of that, I think he's a high motor player, a very athletic player, and I think he's just a really good fit for the New Orleans Saints defense, and he fits a need, which was a pass rusher and somebody who can get at the quarterback and disrupt the backfield. Now, don't you forget, like I just mentioned, this was a number 2 overall selection just a few drafts ago. I mean, when you look at the stats that he had in his college career, 3 seasons and 69 games played, 99 tackles, 30.5 sacks, 42.5 tackles for loss. Now, this player had 21 of those tackles for loss in his last season back in 2019. I mean, this player right here is special. He's good, and there is a reason that he was the number 2 overall selection. He was a steal to get in free agency this offseason. And part of me is just like based on the player. Solely based on the type of player that Trace Giroaurd is, the fit that he fills, or the need that he fills for the New Orleans Saints, and the fit that he can provide for the defense. I think that Trace Giroaurd was a steal for a multitude of reasons, and partially, like the big one for me is because of the production that he can provide. In his career, 100 tackles, 20 tackles for a loss, 16.5 sacks, and 32 quarterback hits. And that's really, really good considering he's only played in 43 games. And I will also say this, it's not like Trace Giroaurd has been amazing this entire career. It's not like it's been all sunshine and rainbows. There's a reason why the Commanders traded him to the Niners, and the Niners didn't bring him back. There was a reason that Trace Giroaurd was available as a free agent this offseason. And I totally understand the fact that there are questions around his effort. There's questions about the production and the health and all of that. But when you consider the fact that this is a player who last year played all season long with a neck injury, that guy is one tough SOB. Now, a big one for me is the finances. Like, the big win and why I think this was a steal is the finances here. And when it was initially reported, it was that Trace Giroaurd signed a $13 million contract fully guaranteed. But that was not actually accurate. So this is what the cap breakdown looks like. And if you need to pause it, please feel free. Take a look at it. But to explain it like I'm 5 years old, I had a hard time trying to figure this out and comprehending the cap numbers and the financial breakdowns. But to make it simple, it's basically a $5 million contract with $8 million in incentives. So it was not accurately reported when it was initially announced that Trace Giroaurd was going to be in New Orleans this year. Now, you would have known that had you been subscribed to the channel, and you also would know that you would get daily videos, live shows multiple times a week, and the best watch parties on game day. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that noti bell so that way you never miss a video. And let's continue with the coverage. Now, the defensive line for New Orleans is much, much better than it has been in the previous seasons. I do really like Trace Giroaurd. I also am a big fan of Colin Saunders and Nathan Shepard, but don't get me started on Big Grando because number 96 is a playmaker. And I do think that Cam Jordan, Bryan Bresee, and Christian Boyd all could have very large roles for the Saints, especially as a pass rusher in stopping the run. And with Trace Giroaurd, he improves the entire defensive line. Like, Trace Giroaurd is going to command attention. That's going to free up opportunities for Cam Jordan. that's going to free up opportunities for Bryan Bresee and Carl Granderson because teams are going to have to pay attention to Chase Young because he is such a dominant player. And last season, the New Orleans Saints did a really good job of getting a lot of pressures, but they just couldn't get that pressure to turn into production enough. And if you take any of these numbers and you just give me a few more sacks on any of these guys, I'm telling you right now, this New Orleans Saints, they are a much better defense, and they have a much better season because the quarterback has less time to throw the ball. They have less time to let the play develop and let the receiver get open and huck the rock down the field. And for me, my expectation for Chase Young, it's that he creates a lot of pressure and production. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that here in just a second. But, I just think that with Chase Young, he's going to improve this defense. He is going to make this defensive line a much better unit, which was already a good unit. But it is much, much better now. And again, I'm going to dive into full detail here in a second, but I got to say thank you so much to GameTime for sponsoring today's video. Now, GameTime is my favorite ticketing app, and it's the best ticketing app in my personal opinion. And hey, I'm somebody who loves to go to live events, so I'm using ticketing apps left and right, and GameTime is the best one. Take my word for it. Now, if you want to get tickets to LSU games, you want to get tickets to Saints games, you can actually get $20 off your first purchase if you use our promo code CHATSPORTS. Terms do apply with that, but with Game Time, it's last-minute tickets, the lowest price, and it's all guaranteed. You can get views from the seat. It's so user-friendly. You can look at what you got nearby in your city. I'm personally in Dallas, Texas, so I'm trying to go and check out the Saints versus Cowboys game here in Arlington, and I'm going to be getting tickets with Game Time if I can make that happen. Obviously, we have a watch party, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get out there. But you can get tickets to that game or any game for the New Orleans Saints season with the Game Time app. I absolutely love this app. I will swear by it. It is the #1 ticketing app in the world. So if you use our code CHATSPORTS, just like this, your screen will pop up. You redeem your code CHATSPORTS. It's right here, and it's right below you. Use that promo code to get $20 off your first purchase. Friendly reminder, terms do apply. Create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, for me to set the expectation, I think I need to also address the issues with Chase Young. And I mentioned them briefly a few minutes ago, but there is a lot of pedigree within Chase Young's game. He was the #2 overall pick. We've already discussed that. He is an insane athlete. We've talked about that. 6'5", 264 pounds. The dude is a behemoth of a man. He has unbelievable ability, though. And the potential, I don't think, has been quite tapped into. I think that there is more that he can show. And to be quite honest, I really like the fact that the New Orleans Saints said, you know what? 1-year deal. You have a lot to prove. We have a lot to prove. Let's make something happen here. And the fact that he's in a contract year is a big reason why he has a lot to prove. He's playing for big money for the rest of his career. This is a young player. Chase Young still has a lot of time and a lot of miles left in the NFL. And if he wants to cash in and make a lot of money, he's going to have to go and play well for New Orleans. And whether or not he sticks around with the black and gold in the future, that's a conversation for another time. But we're talking about right now. This guy was a steal. And sure, there is effort issues. Sure, there is lack of concern problem, or there's problems with his lack of effort, if you will. But I don't think that that's going to be a problem this year. I actually think Chase Young is going to have the best season of his career because of all of the reasons we've discussed. He has a good defense around him. He's going to create opportunities for himself and the players around him. And on top of that, I think that the players like Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson will create opportunities for Chase Young. And here on screen are my projected stats for 2024. I'm going with a gut feeling here. I think that he's going to have a career high of 50 total tackles, a career high of double-digit sacks with 10. And last year, he matched his career high with 7.5. So I think that this is a number that he could go and hit. And to be honest, just talking about the defense as a whole, because I love Chase Young, I'm excited to see him play, but the defense as a unit is no joke. This is a really, really good team. This is a really good unit. And I can understand the cautious optimism, and I can understand maybe the lack thereof within the offense. However, the defense is a really, really good unit. And these three guys right here, I think are going to be really good. Cam Jordan did have a down year in the grand scheme of Cam Jordan, but I do think that he's going to be able to get a resurgence in his career. Carl Granderson is coming off the best season of his career. I want to see him have a even better year. And Chase Young, we've talked about him for the last few minutes now. I'm pumped to see him take the field in the black and gold. Now, a big thing that I'm looking forward to is this NASCAR package. Now, the NASCAR package is bringing in the speed. You're bringing in the fast, athletic, tough, gritty sons of guns. And that's Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Bryan Bresee, and Chase Young. And those four players, I think, are going to be really, really fun to see on the field at any given time. Cam Jordan, sure, the production was down last year, but I don't think he's a bad player. Carl Granderson, I love the guy. I think he's really, really talented. And Chase Young, again, we've talked about him. And one thing that makes me really believe in Chase Young this year is against the 49ers, he had a pass rush grade of 90.1. Ladies and gentlemen, PFF, I understand it's not the Bible. I understand it's not the gospel, and we shouldn't listen and take everything that PFF says, and that is exactly what the truth is. Like, it is very opinionated. It's very eye test. It's very how did they play? How do I think that they play? And that's talking about the guys at Pro Football Focus. But the 49ers, they're not a terrible team. These were the guys that were playing in the Super Bowl a few months ago. This is the same team that's been in back-to-back NFC championships. The 49ers, they're not the same team entirely as they were last year or even the year before that, but they're still a really, really good football team. And the fact that Chase Young was able to dominate as a pass rusher against a quality opponent makes me have a lot of belief and a lot of faith in the Saints defensive line and in him in general. So final thoughts on today's video. I do think that the Saints defense will pretty much be the reason that this team can stay afloat. As of this point, on August 20th, around noon, the offseason, it's been very, very heavily leaning towards the defense. A lot of really good reports around the defense. The defense looks great at camp. The defense dominated at OTAs. Chase Young is having another great practice. These are a lot of common things that we're hearing all throughout the offseason. But the offense has been struggling here and there. I do have a lot of faith in this defense, but I want to see the pressures turn into production. That is my big caveat. Now, I want you to place your bets for me, Saints fans. 50 sacks for the New Orleans Saints this season. Give me an over or an under. Last year, I mean, this would be a big improvement on the number from last year. I believe it was 38 total sacks, so got to be better. Over or under on 50 sacks this season. And if you guys want to hit me up on social media, give me a follow on Twitter. I'm trying to get to 3,000 followers ASAP. On Instagram, I made a new Saints Now Instagram. It's my handle. Just throw an underscore, at the back end of it. And on TikTok, you can also find me with the same username as well. Trying to make my social media presence grow a little bit. Trying to give you guys some more content. So if you want to support me and you want to get more videos, hit your boy up and give me a DM.